Hello and welcome to next lecture. This time it will be on souls. As I engage in hermeneutin, or the art of interpretation based on my experiences both with soul trafficking with other entities, and so on. Of course, these experiences are purely subjective, maybe intersubjective with co-experiences. And as I mentioned, I am interpreting experiences for better or for worse. This is not an objective truth. It is a form of modeling. So, what is a soul? Starting from the idea, the Thracian idea, that animals do have souls, so do mortal animals that are human beings specimen. The life waves on planet Earth were embodied souls too. Apart from the organic evolutionary factors, souls co-evolved, and they were most likely giving rise to new form of genetic differentiation apart from the organic biological genetic history and genetic garbage, like for example virus infections that leave imprints on the mtDNA, y-DNA mutations in the human specimens. So we have biosexual animal souls, biopsyche sexual, and we can go through regressive generational ad infinitum to first hominids, then to the evolution of species in the Anthropocene, and so on. So let's start from the first mitochondrial DNA that survived of the Homo sapiens sapiens specimen, the African Eve, that later differentiated through various mtDNA mutations across the continents as the population genetics and the waves of migrations of this particular specimen spread across the whole globe. Now, these particular souls, as I mentioned a long time ago in a different lecture when I was analyzing the Egyptian soul psychology, Egyptian soul politics, economy, Scandinavian Phrygia, Phrygiur, Sala, and so on, the Greek daimon, the Greek Psyche, the Eidola, Skia, Pneuma, and so on. So we'll focus on the biological souls that are from the mother and from the father. These two souls merge, and when during conception we have only embryonic ectoplasm that is deprived of certain characteristics, but in as much as in genetic expression, soul has an expression too. So a child is born and it receives some occult rays dependent on the location, on the configurations, astralistic occult configurations, the genius loci, the place, and many hidden aspects of dimensional stratas that by the law of focus, here, are focused into the new child's soul. Now the soul is receptive and it is tainted with paternal maternal qualities and by those hidden factors. Then we go into neurodevelopmental psychology, socialization, and so on. The developmental psychology as captured by Jung, the child evolves and is turned into a teenager, adolescent, adult, and so on, receiving in the perfect conditions all those systems that the soul is receptive towards. It starts forming soul qualities, its ethos, its individuation. Now at every stage it is synchronized with the biological underpinning, the nervous system, the brain, the external environment, the peers, the socialization as mentioned before. So it is a synchronous feedback of brain nervous system pneumatic synergy. So a soul may receive emotional cuts and polishes, emotional receptivity, biopneumatic feeling component that is intersecting between the metaphysical and the physical, physiological, various belief systems, memories, behavioral qualities, individuation cues and patterns, processing qualities of thought systems, for example, synchronized with the central nervous system. Now, what can be done to such a soul? First things first, like in the ancient ideas of witchcraft, for example, Thessalian, we may bind the soul. These components, emotive, cognitive, belief systems, memories, it may be bound and sometimes stolen. Soul displacement, or displacing the soul outside of the organic human specimen, whereas he may become soulless. Although the cognitive function is preserved, certain parts become dysfunctional. Sometimes it may cause insanity, sometimes it may destroy the emotional or fear component, and so on, depending on the quality of the soul, whether it is heroic, regular. Souls are not equals. And like Jamblech once mentioned, the souls of gods of much greater force, powers, and qualities than souls of mortal animals. So, building up the soul. A soul may be destroyed. The shadow soul, or Eidola simulacra, may be developed in a human specimen. It was called Kaibit or Shut in Egypt, or Eidola simulacra in Greece, the pitch black souls. It may be erased, stolen, developed in some let's say Umbra-archic magic, or the magic of the shadows. It may be developed, and then we may connect the mind to it to travel through ethereal zones with our shadows or with our souls, or with our recounting totems, the Felgir, the animal guides that are totemizing us and we are totemizing them. If a soul is displaced, or even with the present soul, we may hatch souls of others, or synthetically made souls that are transferring the qualities of itself to the mind. If a mind is highly developed and intelligent, and a lesser or an inferior soul is hatched, various problems may arise. For example, if a person is well versed in English, or he is a writer, for example, a writer block may develop, or he may start having issues with talking or speaking English fluently. So it has influence on the organic working of the brain and nervous system, both ways. We may modify a soul with given qualities or attributes. We may program a soul and hatch it in a given individual. We may clone or copy soul qualities, like copy-paste, and try to redistribute it to other souls, although not all skills may be copy-pasted. Doppelgangers, or the shadow soul cloning development. And for example, when the soul of a man is cloned and redistributed, such clones may cause behavioral deficits in other human beings. For example, if a soul of a certain individual or his mind is cloned, then other people may start to exhibit certain ways of dressing in a similar manner, exhibiting certain qualities or attributes, but only in as much as the brain and cognitive setup allows. Now, the body may be possessed, emanating a foreign entity, avatarize it, incarnate a foreign entity. In case of possessions, the mind is distorted and the soul walking is distorted. If a soul is displaced, then the body may be possessed by various entities, sometimes cooperating. Most of the time people are ignorant of such cognitive emotional modifications caused by foreign entities. Then avatarizations of greater gods, for example, Horus the Elder, incarnations when something is embodying itself in the soul. Now, antibody. Magical technologies related to the soul, ophitotronics, or transposing via nervous sexual feedback to the soul, activating the ophitics or the kundalini snakes, serpents, and transposing the soul to the air element. Then it is as if flying. It may be controlled by the mind, or it may merge with the mind, constituting a pseudo-angelic entity. Now, all the bestiaries of the world, or the flying entities and so on, phoenixes, Pegasi, for example, is the soul of a horse that becomes Enwing. Now, neuropneumatic bliss, golden body development, giving oneself birth to the world of the gods. Keperization, as in Keper, the toiling scarab in Egypt, heart immortalization. The feeling component here, biopneumatic feeling component, that is transposed to the world of the gods, is the immortalization of the heart of gold, as they say. Cephalization, intellect immortalization. So this is in functional mesh tree, the crowning. In the born rest ritual of the Gnostic sects, we have a akephalos, or the akephalos is a transmitter of force, of power of divine energies, that nevertheless lacks the volitional power or the intellect to modulate those great forces and powers of divinities. Abyss piercing, so submersion of the soul in the abyss transforms it into a pneumatic daimonic component. It is as if getting the nectar of gods, the ambrosia of gods in the abyss, in order to transmogrificate itself. It is similar but not exact to shamanic initiation in the underworld. Dragonization or Kundalini nervous permeation of phytotronics, again giving various modifications to the central nervous system and acquiring skills, toughness, multiplying intelligence by intelligence, stoutness by stoutness, and so on, so on. You can multiply those things, and you may attempt to create your own modulars in order to inject them into your soul and central nervous system in order to be a self-programmer. Now, the magneto-electroreceptivity, this is related to ESP skills, recoupling of the neural system, and soul skills like clairvoyance and so on. They are related to the power of the soul and the daimon pitching to given registries of dimensions. For example, seeing the Caducean, Herculean wonders, the upper regions, or the Chthonic, the shadows, the demons, the Book of Black Earth. Depending on how apt you are at modulating it, sometimes it may be a gift, like a gift of Isis or Hecate, in order to protect yourself and see patterns, see all the movement of friends and enemies. Now, you can incorporate foreign entities, daimons, demons, chthonic forces, and may treat you like a host, or you may cooperate with them. You may, for example, have the feeling of phantom wings of angels that is always silent, and that means that an angeli bonum, for example a Hellenic hidden one, is embodying itself or herself in your body in order to reach a certain communitas. Now, the temporary acquired skills, something that doesn't belong to us, but we may temporarily acquire with trafficking with these spirits, entities, and other souls, embodiments that lead to those practical skills. Now, these are some aspects of the soul. We may have optional injections during birth or post-initiatory. For example, the pneuma daimon, as mentioned, may be developed or inborn. A Dracon daimon that is inborn makes you an unawakened Dracon until you are awakened. So various bestiaries may be inborn into a child, human child. And it will likely exhibit certain skills, soul skills, ESP skills, and so on. The transmigratory souls are the souls that travel. They may be reincarnated in various worlds and zones. For example, in the Tibetan Bardo idea, foreign dimensions or back to organic existence. Sometimes the spheres of the planets, the stars, so stellar migrations. The shadow souls, children of the underworld, may be reborn in a child soul as well. So, for example, your inner vampire may be awakened at some point. Now, then foreign dimensional entities that somehow are focused in these child soul. They may also be focused, these optional injections, at the time of embryonic ectoplasm development, and of course during sexual intercourse of the mother soul, or the mother and the father. So there is a running joke that if your father, like that of Philip I, Alexander of Macedon's father, is possessed by a dragon or a dragon soul, then during inception with the mother gives birth and develops a child that has properties of a dragon. So, for example, Alexander of Macedon, Scipio Africanus, and some Chinese emperors were having the soul of a dragon. Yet it was a mixture of both human properties and dragon properties. So with biological death is not the end. It's a gateway to metempsychosis, reincarnation, rebirth. You don't have to be born into the human or animal organic worlds. You may be born into so many ethereal dimensions that are very interesting to continue your existence in the continuous cosmic expression. Thank you.